Okay, so Danny has been suspended with no pay, and it seems very safe to assume that she won't be working at the airport any longer. I just feel like at this point, I mean, for one, she was excited to learn she's not in the leadership program. Well, whoop de doo. But you're also going to be removed from the job. So, I mean, it's possible she might get her job back in due time, but given the circumstances, she's probably gone for good. And at this point, she's going to be caught between a rock and a hard place. And this video is just talking about the situation and, who's at fault and her reaction to it. Now, for one, when I was watching the episode, I'm like, Danny, come on. Like, I get, like I said during the live and whatnot, I see why she did what she did. It was definitely not the right thing to do given the environment she was in while on the clock and in front of a crowded airport where there are plenty of witnesses. And let's be real here, for all the smack that Leonard was talking, he deserved a lot more than some iced coffee being thrown in his face. Let's be completely real about that. But on the one hand, I did like the scene because, for one, it was funny, but also because I love the therapy journey of Danny and the fact that she, what was that Steve Harvey special from way back when? It was the one he did where he didn't cuss. Don't trip. He ain't through with me yet. that's what this feels like. That Danny is still going through therapy. So even though she's still dealing with, even though she showed a lot of growth in season 7, kind of backslid in season 8. She's not done on her journey, so there's still work that needs to be completed. She isn't completely healed, but I feel like a lot of us feel the same way, that when you compare the way she went off on Leonard with that cup, you would think she would have had that same energy last season. I know a lot of people in season 7 were saying, man, Danny, you should have grabbed that heifer by her hair and beat the crap out of her. I'm referring to Tony's ex-wife showing up to the apartment unannounced and getting on Danny's case about the vape pen or whatever that her daughter swiped from her. And then she shoved her out of the way before she left the apartment. And Danny was like, no, you got one more time and it's on. So basically in that moment, people were like, I'm surprised Danny didn't just, get into a scrap right then and there. I think in that situation, it felt like, okay, we would be way more understanding of her doing that because this went down in her home. She was disrespected, this, that, and the third. But then when you compare it to Leonard just talking smack, she's going to go ahead and do something like this at the workplace. And then that led to her being terminated. Now, obviously, this feels like that Dave Chappelle show sketches when keeping it real goes wrong or something like that. And to be completely honest, even though she's dealing with some HR problems, due to the Tony situation that put her in the leadership program, Danny could have went to HR herself and possibly filed some sort of complaint, for verbal harassment from Leonard with all the things he's insinuating and calling her to her face. Laying on her back to get to where she is now. That would have been the smart way to do it, but obviously Leonard just kept, pushing her buttons, and that's what led to Danny doing what she did. But Danny, I feel like, she did what she did, but then all of a sudden she's acting like, hey, Tony, side with me, help me out. But you have to look at it from the perspective of, Danny, you're already in trouble, not because of your own fault. It's Tony that put you in that program, but the fact that Tony probably can't do much of anything, because when you look at the HR meeting, it definitely felt like Tony was the one who was in the hot seat more than Danny was, due to the fact that the woman, the HR representative, was saying that, well, we're going to have to look into this case more thoroughly to make sure that you weren't showing favoritism to Miss King in order to get her into the leadership program. So it was definitely Tony that was in the hot seat. Danny was just there because, well, it's kind of a package deal. So there really isn't much that Tony could do, because imagine him trying to, compromise the situation in Danny's favor. That would be a blatant disregard of the HR situation they're currently in. It's like, So you basically said you didn't show favoritism by getting her into the leadership program using your position and authority. But now it seems you're trying to do exactly that to lessen the consequences of her throwing the coffee in her coworker's face. Yeah, Tony's hands are tied. So like when it almost felt like Danny was giving him an ultimatum about like, so what are you gonna do? Is like, so you're supposed to be my man. So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna be my man and help me out, or are you gonna be the vice president and get me in trouble? And I'm like, that is not fair. That is not fair because, like I said at the beginning, I can understand why Danny did what she did, but say what you will, Tony was the one that got her into the program, leading to the jealousy from Leonard. But nobody made you smack that coffee in his face, Danny. That was all you. So then that's what ticks me off, because in the next episode, she's going to talk to Andy about it. And Andy's like, wait, what did Tony do? Tony fired me. No, he didn't. He did not fire you. He just relayed the information from HR. You got yourself fired, Danny. So we know at some point later in the season, oh, I'm sorry, in a couple episodes actually, because I think episode 20 is entitled Boss Lady. But yeah, as partner, Andy's first case will be representing Danny versus the airline, possibly for wrongful termination. So at this point, there's going to be a major falling out, and I don't think the relationship between Danny and Tony is going to make it, because Tony's no doubt going to have to represent the airline. Then it's going to be a question of, well, hey, if you're not showing favoritism, then, represent the airline against your girlfriend. And I mean, regardless of how you feel about it, and I hate to make this comparison, but saying that Danny has a right to fight, I mean, hey, what did Mike saying, bro? You can sue anybody for anything. You can, but, well, even though you can sue somebody for anything, that doesn't always mean your case won't get thrown out if there's really no evidence or legs to stand on. But the thing is, Danny smacking the coffee in Leonard's face and then trying to fight back against wrongful termination is ridiculous. It's just like that the woman who is suing Lyft because the driver wouldn't give her a ride because, well, she was too big, and now she's trying to sue Lyft, and the dude lost his job. That's how ridiculous this entire situation is. It's like, Danny, you're the one that effed up. You're the one that slapped the coffee. So yeah, you got to deal with the consequences. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think Danny deserved to get suspended without pay / fired? Do you think she'll get her job back? Do you think that, honestly, I hope she doesn't, because I'd much rather see Danny do something else. I think that this could be one of those experiences that could actually work in her favor, where she could just find something maybe she's passionate about, or use her degree or something, because the airport job was just like, her comfort zone, where she could just get by doing the bare minimum, and maybe she can find something that'll actually pique her interest or push her to be, much more efficient. But that's just my 2 cents. Let me know yours, and I'll catch you all in the next video.